What's up, adventurers? ADV Ryan here. Just wanted to check in and do a quick 3,200 mile review and give you some insight into the equipment that I added and how it performed in some hard off-road conditions on the Continental Divide. As you can see, I have a replacement front Motaz Rawls. I picked up a thorn in the desert and it didn't make it. It was flat when I pulled back into my garage after putting a vulcanized patch in it. A shop actually did that in Colorado. The rear I lost on the trail to a pocket knife blade. Had to throw a tube in it, and that got me into town. And when I pulled into town and stopped at a stoplight after doing about 50 to 60 miles per hour, I don't know, for about 4 to 5 miles, the bike was really squirrely. Both tires were flat, and I had already used a rear tube, and all I had was a front tube left. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm into town. There's probably a shop nearby. Gonna hit up a tow truck, you know, chalk it up to a loss. And so all they had was an 805 Shinko rear, which I've run before on other bikes. It's a great tire, especially for the price. And it did well on the single track that we took it on the Monarch Crest Trail, and there's a video of that highlight anyway of that on my channel. If this is the first time you have watched my channel, please go watch some at a minimum some of the highlights. That way you know where I'm coming from when I'm reviewing this equipment. All these other people that do this for a living, I do not. I'm giving you I'm sitting in my garage filming this on my daggum cell phone review. So you're getting something that's raw, something that I own the bike. This is not something that I trade in and out all the time, you know, to keep my livelihood, which those guys do great. You know, that's part of the reason I bought this bike. I'm not going to knock that, but I rode this bike to my limit, which the bike still had tons left. So a great motorcycle off-road. The things that stood out to me the most was the suspension, the KYB suspension. And I'm going to go ahead and turn you around here so you can stop looking at my ugly face and you can take a look at the bike. All right. So like I said, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was the performance of this suspension, front and rear. I noticed there are some bigger guys that are switching out that rear spring. I was fully loaded, and I'm about 185 pounds, and had no issue. I thought it performed really well. I could probably dial it in a little better. And that will definitely be something that I do going forward. But in terms of the suspension, it saved me in several situations, as you can probably tell from some of the videos that I've uploaded. Moving on, the crash bars from Hepco and Becker protected my bike. I mean, there you can see there's some gas stains here, which I haven't really tried to deep clean or anything like that. Doesn't super bother me, but it's where I laid it down or the gas boiled over and rolled down the tank. Not a huge deal. I've got a remedy for that I'm going to clue you guys in on a little bit later on in this video. But you can see there's no scratches here. I've cleaned it up. All the scratches are on the crash bar. No dents, dings, anything like that in the plastics. And that goes for both sides. I dropped the bike on both sides, so you can see the crash bar marks there. No scratches on the plastics whatsoever. The bark busters also did a great job. There were also no bends. I mean, you can see these things are perfectly aligned, level, equal spacing, equal height, no bends, anything like that on this. And I dropped the bike probably 7 to 8 times in rough situations, and laid it down another 1 or 2 times on the single track trail to let some 2 strokes past, and also to get off and figure out what the heck we were going to do to turn around. So like I said, suspension, crash bars, and just the overall performance of the bike off-road was fantastic, especially for a mid-size adventure bike. So I know a lot of guys are leaning T7. You're going to have a tough time beating the reliability of the T7. The biggest positive for this bike is the low center of gravity and the availability to get to your components. So let's get the key. All right, I can try to do this with 2 hands. It's gonna be probably, yeah. Sorry guys. All right, so there is your fuel tank. That's your fuel pump. Your fuel tank is down here. Okay, it straddles this area, sits on top of the motor. I believe the Tenere 700's fuel tank's up here. The actual air filter is down underneath this, and so you're pulling off this, these two, that one. You twist the gas tank off, and there's 3 hex head screws in there, or star key screws in there, and that's where the airbox is. Now with the airbox, you know, it started out people freaking hating me for, you know, saying that there was an issue with the airbox, whatever. You know, people are going to be stupid, I guess. The issue was that this bike was taking air, or taking dust and air into these intake ports here, and it flows back, makes a really nice sound. That's one big plus of this bike. And the airbox is situated under here. Well, the filter sits on the top half of the airbox. Underneath that half of the airbox is the intake, right? So there's a common misconception that this bike and all other dual sport bikes have had dust in the airbox. That may be true, but other dual sports have air filters with worm clamps around a fitting before it gets to the intake. This bike's filter sits on top, halfway wedged in between the airbox and the intake, and then the intake pulls the air down through the filter, and the airbox is open to the intake, and it sucks the rest of the air in, or filters it in through that way. That's the difference between having a dirty airbox and a spotless airbox. You want a spotless airbox with the type of design that was made for this bike, and with the stock filter on it, it's a problem. So what I did was I ordered a unifilter from Australia and a funnel web pre-filter from Australia. Oiled those up with Bel-Ray foam filter oil, and got back from my Continental Divide ride and had nearly zero dust in there. There may have been a little bit leftover residual from previous where I didn't clean it out as good. I couldn't really tell, but that's how much of a difference it made. Is it a pain in the butt? Yes, it is. I think that stock paper filter is going to benefit you better in 99 cases out of 100. Unfortunately, this Aprilia Tuareg airbox situation is the 1 out of 99, or 1 out of 100, that you're going to have to use that foam filter for. Great. You know, aside from that, I think I've had a fuel gauge issue, and I could show you that. Yeah, see, it's flashing up there. I wasn't able to use my fuel gauge. There's only 4 bars. Now I'm thinking those 4 bars are 1 per gallon, and then the warning light comes on. The warning light does still come on, even though that sending unit, that fuel level sending unit, is faulty. Now it took about a month and a half for that to come in. I did get a call from the dealership the other day, and my service is set up for next week sometime. But yeah, a month and a half wait on parts for that. That's another battle you're going to fight with Aprilia. But, you know, for me, this bike has been worth it. Like I said, go take a look at some of my videos. Watch some of the terrain that we rode through, and I'm telling you, this bike is great. You can see I put that skid plate to the test down here. You know, that's a nice ding there, and you know, there, all around GP Mucci skid plate, bar none, man. That thing saved the bottom of my bike. I was able to prop up underneath rocks, me and my brother, when we you know, did a pit crew on my rear wheel, rear tire. But yeah, fantastic, man. I had bounced back and forth, to be honest with you. I'd bounced back and forth about offloading this thing and getting something lighter, because my brother brought a KTM 500 EXCF, and I'm just not going to be able to go where he goes. But there, you know, outside of just absolutely gnarly stuff, this bike is going to handle it. It's going to be a tougher, and you better freaking be in shape when you're running this stuff, especially when it's hot outside. I was gasping for air in some of those New Mexico desert gnarly spots. But yeah, performed really well, and really happy with it. So with these stains and stuff like that, I am going to try to clean them up a little better. But I just bought a graphics kit. It's going to be tan, black, and red, obviously, as you can see from there. And it's got some other little graphics and stuff mixed in there. My constructions are covering some of it up, but yeah, I think it'll, you know, obviously it's going to cover that stuff up. I bought some tack spray and some things that can, you know, assist those stickers going on there. And I'm going to pull the plate and paint it black, knock the dings out of it, paint it black, and I'm going to transform the look of the bike. I'm eventually going to get a high fender kit from Camel ADV and, you know, do away with that low fender setup. The mud was not a problem for me. I just like the look. I'm trying to think of anything else. The fuel mileage was fantastic. Anywhere from 55 to 63 miles per gallon. I carried a Rotopax on my rear Hepco and Becker rack there, and my brother basically used it the entire trip. I never used it, and we had some pretty long stretches in there. Trying to think of anything else I could possibly give you guys any insight into. I've definitely replaced these. These are stock or weak. I went through that on my last video, and you can see I put it to the test. It's supposed to be like this, and it's like this. So it's a little bent there, and that thing, titanium bolt replacement, worked. And I even believe this one might be a little bit more in than it was bent in. Maybe not, but I've also got a folding lever on this side, and I replaced with the titanium. No problems. Dropped it both, you know, multiple times. You can see my crash bar rash down in here, up in there. There's stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to, you know, give you guys an honest review. I know it's not as polished as these other guys do it. You know, I'm just doing it on my cell phone, but I appreciated these reviews when I was looking through. You know, I wasn't always looking for the mainstream guy giving me the runaround. You know, looking for somebody who's actually riding the bike, who's actually pushing their own limits. You know, I'd like to say I'm pushing the limits of this bike, but I wasn't. You know, maybe in terms of, you know, weight on certain trails, I shouldn't have been in certain spots. But then again, you look at Paul Torres, and he's, you know, killing it on a midsize, so it is doable. But I am not a professional, never will be. Just a dude in his garage that loves to ride and wants to help others out. You know, with any questions that you might have, shoot them to me on this video in the comments. Let me know, you know, what you think. Let me know some of your experiences, if you've added things, good or bad. Just let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as I can on everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. You guys are growing my channel. I think I'm up to around 400 plus subscribers now. It's exciting, you know, every day to check and see, you know, people interacting from all over the world. And, you know, obviously it's not thousands and thousands of people, but I appreciate every one of you. I think it's cool as crap. So thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. I have several episodes coming out. I think the next maybe 1 or 2 are going to be some desert stuff that may not, you know, get your heart pumping, but there's some good stuff in store. There's some good film I've got to go through, and I'm going to try to make it fun for you guys. So it takes me a while to get through it, but I'm going to get through it. I'm going to try to make it fun and entertaining, and I should have the next episode up, I'm hoping, within the next week or so. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Subscribe if you like what you're seeing, and I'll see you on the trail. Right on.